Our next section is solving by elimination. So another way that we can find out a solution to a system of linear equations. Make sure to write this down. You should have this written, and I will be going over a problem step by step. So make sure that you write down number 1 and then that problem, number 2, then that step. Write down all 6 steps. This is what you will be referencing to when you are solving these problems by elimination. The first step that you should have written down was make sure to write both equations in standard form. So it says ax plus by is equal to c. So if you look here, I already have my ax plus by is equal to c for both equations. So I do not have to do anything. So my next step, number 2, is to multiply one or both equations by a number so one variable cancels out. Now, I picked a problem that already has 2 variables cancel out. What does that mean? Well, if I look at my x's, if I were to add them together, would they cancel out? No, because 2x plus 6x is not going to give me 0. Canceling out is another way of thinking of give me 0. But if I look at my y's, subtraction is like negative. So if you want to change this to a plus, a minus, that's fine. So if I have 5y plus a negative 5y or subtract 5y, that's going to give me a 0. So then this would be my step 2 that's already done for me. Then add the 2 equations together. So step 3, I'm going to add my 2 equations. 2x plus 6x will give me 8x. 5y plus a negative 5y is going to give me 0. And 17 plus a negative 9 is going to give me a positive 8. You do not have to write the 0 there. So I could just write it as 8x is equal to 8. So my next step is to solve for the remaining variable. So step number 4. So if I'm going to solve this for x, I want to get x by itself, so I divide by 8, and I get x is equal to 1. Now I plug that answer, x is equal to 1, into one of the equations. It does not matter which equation you use. I can either use this first equation or the second equation. I'm going to use the first equation just because. There's really no reason. So this is my step 5. So I have 2, and I know that my x is equal to 1, so I'm going to plug 1 in for x, plus 5y is equal to 17. I just used my first equation that's written here that was given and plugged in 1 because I solved for x. So now I'm going to solve for y. So that becomes 2, and then I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So I have 5y is equal to 15, and divide by 5, and I get y is equal to 3. And then my last step, step 6, is to write it as an ordered pair. So my x I have found to be 1, and my y I have found to be 3. So that would be my final answer. For you, these next 2 equations or problems, I want you to solve by yourself. So you should pause the video right now. So pause the video and actually solve both problems by yourself. Steps 1 and 2 are already done for you. Your 2 answers here should be 2, 7, and -1, -2. One important thing for problem B is I changed this to a plus and negative so that I knew when I had -3 plus a -4, it was going to give me a -7. This problem is a little bit different. Step 1 is already done for you because it's already in ax plus by is equal to c, so step 1 is done. But step 2 here is where it's going to be a little bit tricky. Now when I'm looking at my variables, I want to multiply one of the 2 equations so that one of the variables will cancel out. When I look at 2 and 7, there's no number to multiply by 2 to get 7, or vice versa. But when I look at 15 and 5, because I'm looking at the 2 numbers that are in front of the y, I know I can multiply y this y by something to get 15. And I have to think in my head, what number times 5 will give me 15? That's 3. So I'm going to multiply the second equation by 3. So again, the first equation I'm just going to have written out as is. 2x plus 15y is equal to negative 32. But my second step, when I multiply, I'm going to change the whole thing. So I have to multiply each and every variable. So 3 times 7 is going to give me 21x. 3 times negative 5 is going to give me negative 15y. And 3 times 17 is going to give me a 51. And now my third step is to add them together. So when I add them together, this will become a positive 19x. I'm not going to write out anything for my y's because that would be equal to 0. And then I have negative 32 plus 51, which will give me 19. So my x is equal to 1 here because 19 divided by 19 would give me 1. Now that was my third step. My fourth step is to plug it into either equation. It does not matter which one you plug it into. I'm going to pick negative 2 times 1 plus 15y is equal to negative 32. Again, that's just because there is no rhyme or reason to it. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides, so I have 15y is equal to negative 30. And so y is going to be equal to negative 2 because I have to divide by 15. And then my last step is to write it as an ordered pair. And that would be my final answer. So this question is a little bit different. It's asking how many solutions does the system have? So I still have to follow all of my steps right here. So my first step is to get to ax plus by is equal to c. Already got that. My second step is to multiply one or both equations. So I can multiply this second equation to either get rid of my x or y, it doesn't matter. I'm going to choose to get rid of my x. So if I want to multiply this by a number so that my x's will cancel when added together, I have to think, what's the opposite number of this 2? So opposite of 2 would be a negative 2. The reason I just think the opposite of that number is because this is a 1. So 1 is easy to manipulate. So I'm going to multiply that into all 3 terms. So I have 2x plus 6y is equal to 18. That's my first equation. And then my second equation I have to multiply in, so that's going to give me a negative 2x minus 6y is going to equal to a negative 18. Again, that's negative 2 times x, negative 2 times 3, and negative 2 times 9. And now I'm going to add them together. When I add these together, these cancel out, these also cancel out, and this cancel out. So I get an equation 0 equals 0. Now if you think, is that a true statement? Why, yes it is. So if this is a true statement, then this would be infinite solutions. Remember, true statement is infinite. A false statement would be no solution. So make sure to fill out your Google form and submit your work. Have a wonderful day.